From the Russ Center for Media in downtown Cape Girardeau, welcome to Focus on Southeast, a monthly program on issues and events impacting the campus of Southeast Missouri State University. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Today we're talking with Southeast President Carlos Vargas, and we'll be discussing the Fast Track Workforce Incentive Grant, a new institute for cybersecurity, and more. Dr. Vargas, welcome.
Welcome again. Thank you, Dan. How are you?
Good. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
So let's start off with some really good news that I know you'll love to talk about, and that is that Southeast has set an all-time high retention rate. Talk about that a little bit.
Right. So as you know, we set a goal a few years ago in 2016 when I came here of a retention rate of 80% at the university. We've been making progress, and this year in particular, we reached an all-time high of 75.3%. That's almost 1% point beyond last year's.
Wow.
So we continue to work hard. We also increased our graduation rate. We didn't hit an all-time high, but we increased it to, we're almost at 50% now.
And these are things that we've been working on, as you said, since 2016, and still more work to do, but I'm sure you're happy to see the progress so far.
Yes, we are. And you know, we have statistical fluctuations as you move forward, yeah. But what this shows is that we are making progress. Whatever we have to do to make sure that the retention rate increases, that we retain more of the students that come to the university is good. And so this is always a nice piece of information for us. I
read that some of the areas that fueled the growth were graduate programs, applied computer science, some of those areas that have really shown a lot of growth.
Our increase in enrollment for transfer students actually was noticeable, about 2% or so. At the graduate level, as you mentioned, we had about 11% increase. So there are areas, even though our total enrollment actually went down, we continue to work very hard to make sure that that doesn't happen. And there are areas in which we actually have increased our enrollment compared to last year.
Well, one of the numbers that jumped out at me was Master of Science in Applied Computer Science, a 170% increase.
Yes. That's what that shows is that if you have programs that are relevant and make sense for the students, that they will come and enroll. And that is an example of that. So our master's degree, we started it just a year ago or so, and it's just been very, very successful.
So I'm sure the Copper Dome Scholarship Program, which we've talked about before, that probably was a piece of this in there somewhere, right? There's a lot of factors.
There are many factors, but certainly, as you said, the Copper Dome Scholarship Program is being one of them. We have seen success in that one. The Copper Dome Scholarship Program was a reformulated way of using our funds, our institutional funds. In the past, when we had the previous program, we typically awarded scholarships to about 30% of the incoming class. With the Copper Dome Scholarship Program, now we are actually able to provide scholarships to over 70% of the incoming class. So what that is showing is that there are sometimes opportunities that the students see. It doesn't have to be sometimes a lot of money that they receive, but they want to know that they're appreciated. And that's what we're doing with the Copper Dome Scholarship Program. So we're now being able to impact about over 70% actually of the incoming class. So that does play a role in it. And of course we have a new Well-to-Do Award. Now that Well-to-Do Award has not impacted students up to this point. Right. That starts next fall.
And we should note that we did an entire program on the Will-to-Do Award, and you can see that at krcu.org if you'd like to see that. We did a half hour on that program.
Oh, perfect. So no need to go into details in that one.
Yeah, we've already done that.
Okay.
So let's move on to Apple Distinguished Schools. The College of Education, Health, and Human Studies has been renewed as an Apple Distinguished School, I guess through 2022, I believe.
Yes, so that's a 3-year period, and this is we are being renewed. The first time we were identified as a distinguished school was in 2019, and so that was a 2-year period. Now we are getting renewed for 3 years as a result of our innovation and the use of technology, in particular, of course, being Apple. They rely on their technology, but so through the Evolution Center that we have at the university and the incorporation of the technology into the curriculum and our one-to-one program that we have in place, we have been able to secure that recognition again for 3 years, and we're very, very happy about that.
And it's basically has to do with being innovative and using technology to teach. Is that sort of what this is all about?
Exactly. This is what it's all about. You know, how do you use technology effectively to make sure that the students learn? Mm-hmm. And so we have made a lot of progress, and credit goes to the faculty in the College of Education, Health, and Human Studies for their for acquiring that technology and buying into the use of technology to enhance the learning of students and to prepare teachers that go into the schools with a good knowledge of the use of technology for learning purposes.
And that's the real impact on students that are in that program, to be able to use technology to teach, because that's where everything's headed. You can imagine a day where we used to have big old thick textbooks, but now those could just be on an iPad, and if every student has an iPad, the teacher has to know all the ins and outs of how that works to bring the materials up when they need it and all those sort of things. So there's a lot of things going on there.
I think so. It's almost like a race. You know, the students are learning because they use technology and they expose to technology all day long. And so the teachers also have to do that so that they are ahead of them, and then they can help them figure out effective ways of using the technology for learning purposes.
Who would have thought all these neat gadgets could be better than, more use than just doing Snapchat or Facebook or anything else? That you can actually learn. Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing. You see some ways in which technology is being used to enhance learning, and it really makes your jaw drop. So, no, that's perfect, and that's the kind of role that a university should be playing, and that's what we are doing. So the recognition by Apple that we are using technology in an effective way is something that we should be very proud of, and I hope the community will understand that this is a result of the efforts of the faculty in the college and the university, making sure that we keep up to the pace with the developments of technology.
The idea of this one-to-one initiative launched in 2014. I guess the real importance of that is the one-to-one teaching style, communication style is extremely powerful, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. So that's something that is become actually almost the requirement for institutions if they want to be successful to do that kind of approach.
Okay. I'll tell you what, let's take a short break. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the HLC process, regional accreditation, and a few other items. So we'll take a short break. We'll continue our conversation in just a moment. You're watching Focus on Southeast, and we'll be right back.
Bye-bye.
Hi. Hoping for a crisp breeze to help keep you alert. Oh, he took a sip of water too. That'll probably help. You were probably going to turn down the radio too, so you could focus, right?
Probably okay isn't okay.
Right.
If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
I think the water line is what really drove it home. I blew on him.
Fast-paced family life in need of a slowdown?
Hello, I'm Dr. Spruce. Did you know all those green shapes on maps are parks and forests? It's true. Visit discovertheforest.org and plan to visit a park or forest near you, instead of just wondering what it would have been like.
While the word forest might make you think of distant lands from far, far away, please note parks and forests are closer than you think. which means things like beautiful scenery, fresh air, and family time are also closer than you think.
Hi, Meals on Wheels.
I'm Marco. I'm a college student and I volunteer as a driver for Meals on Wheels.
I think it's awesome meeting these people. I mean, they're so interesting. They've had so many wonderful experiences in life. Your community helps to raise you up into the person that you become. Meals on Wheels is a great way to give back to that community.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio, and we're talking today with Southeast President Carlos Vargas. So, let's move on to the Higher Learning Commission reaccreditation process. This has been going on for a couple of years now, so you might want to give us a quick recap on how this all started and where we are at this point.
Very good, of course. The accreditation at the regional level, as you refer to, is very important for the institution if we want to have access to Title IV funds, means federal funding for students to go to school.
Okay.
Without that, we pretty much go bankrupt here. We couldn't operate. So accreditation for institution is very important from that practical perspective, but also because it's a way of ensuring quality and giving the community a clear message that our programs are high quality. So the accreditation process, we've been accredited since 1915 by the Higher Learning Commissions. Wow. I mean, so this is over 100 years of accreditation. And so every so many years, you have to go through this process to request review of your accreditation. HLC was here in 2012, the last time. And so 2019, this is when we were supposed to receive the visit for another team. So the process works as follows. The HLC has a number of standards that every institution is supposed to satisfy. And so before we go into the reaccreditation process, every institution has to write what they call a systems portfolio. Essentially, it's a self-study. It's a document that describes how we, institution, believe we satisfy every one of the standards. So they give us a chance to say, okay, so how do you satisfy this standard for quality in your programs, for partnerships with other institutions, for integrity in your degrees, and so on and so forth. So we wrote it down, submitted it last December. And so that document was sent to a team from HLC. It's a team of peers that evaluates what we responded to. And so they give us initial feedback. If there are areas that they think we should be more explicit about, where there's not enough information, we're not very clear. So we did that. They responded to us. We submitted the information that they wanted, and that all happened since December up to September. In September, we had a visit, a group of peers that HLC identifies. We had, typically it's 4 or 5 individuals who come and visit you for 2 days. And then they bring the systems portfolio with them. And then they have meetings with all the constituents in the university. So they have meetings with students, with faculty, with staff, with administration, with the president, with executive staff. They met with our Board of Regents. And then they also request input from the external community. They call it third-party comments. And so the external community, anybody out there is encouraged to actually submit their opinion about the way that we perform our functions. They also sent in the spring semester, so that was months ago, an email to students who are enrolled at the university asking them to provide feedback, input into how we operate as an institution. So they all put together all that information, and then they come here and they interview that they have open forum meetings. They have meetings with faculty, with staff, as I said before, and then they focus on those areas where they think that we have not been quite clear enough or detailed enough, and so they have those 2 days, and then after that they write the report that they submit to us to be looked at from the perspective of factual errors. So it's a report that they give us, and they say, if you see any errors of fact, we have a wrong date, a wrong number, and so that you correct it, but don't correct any kind of qualitative assessments that we have made or our impressions. We did that, and so now we're waiting to receive the final report from the team, okay, the team that came to visit us. Now that final report, then we look at, and now we have the opportunity to submit responses to that report. In that report, the final report to the team with our responses go to the Higher Learning Commission board. Okay, it goes to a, and so the board of HLC reviews now the report from the team, they reviews our response to the report, and then they make a final determination regarding our accreditation. So it is a process to, if we satisfy the requirements of the standards, then we get our reaccreditation is approved. So essentially they reaffirm our accreditation. At the end of that, we can say then, okay, we went through the process and everything is fine, or they may identify areas where we need to pay more attention to. And sometimes they ask you to add an additional report to a specific area where they think that there are weaknesses in our operation. And so we expect to receive a final decision by HLC probably by January or February or so of this coming year. At that point, they will say to us, this is what our official response to your application for reaccreditation is.
Wow, what a process.
It's a long process.
Yeah.
It's a long process. Many people were involved here at the university in writing the initial report, initial systems appraisal or self-study. About, over 100 individuals participated in that process, gathering information, making sure that we responded to every one of the standards that HLC has.
Well, by the time you finish, you're probably starting to work on the next cycle. I mean,
that's what they expect us to do. They don't want us to receive so when you receive reaccreditation, they don't want you to put it on the shelf and forget about it until X number of years later. They want you to continue to work, but there's always room for improvement. That's the basis of all this. This is a continuous quality improvement process that you typically hear about in industry and the business sector. So they want you to continue working on improving the way that you operate.
There's a lot to it.
Yeah, and of course, as you know, higher education right now is going through changes, important changes. How do you deliver the programs? Do you use online education? Do you use different ways of delivering the coursework, and how are those resulting in good outcomes for the students? With the final objective is to make sure that your students are learning and are prepared for the workforce, and that's what we want to do.
That's the whole goal. Okay, well, let's take another short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Fast Track Workforce Incentive Grant. Let's do that. We'll continue our conversation in just a moment. This is Focus on Southeast, and we'll be right back.
got a king?
Go fish! In your face, in your face,
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Hey, let's check out this park. Oh, wow, that's really cool. To find a great local park or forest near you, go to discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Focus on Southeast. I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio, and we're talking today with Southeast President Carlos Vargas. Adult learners returning to college have the opportunity to take advantage of Missouri's new Fast Track Workforce Incentive Grant. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, thank you. That's an exciting development, Dan, because this really has its genesis on the current Governor Parson interest in promoting workforce development. You know, he had, when he came into office, he identified two priority areas: infrastructure in the state and also workforce development. And so in particular within the area of workforce development, he wanted to really enhance the ability for adults to get back to school and earn additional credentials, in particular a college degree or industry recognized credentials. They're credentials that industry recognizes that do not necessarily require a college degree, but it's a series of courses that you can take to give you some kind of competency in an area that is of interest to industry. So what he did is he put together a financial aid program for individuals who are at least 25 years of age and who have either not gone to college or have limited college credit. And so they can actually, they are then eligible for this grant, to receive this grant. And this grant ensures that the tuition and fees are fully covered when they're combined with other government financial aid. And the the awards will actually cover any remaining tuition and fees not covered by other state and federal student aid programs. So this really is a way to give certain individuals, in particular those earning less than $80,000 a year, or let's see, I think less than 80,000 if filing jointly, or no more than 40,000 a year as a single tax filer. And so those individuals are able to get this grant and then go back to school and get those credentials or a college degree if they choose to. So it enhances the ability of them to be successful in the workplace.
Yeah, and I noted grant recipients must work in Missouri for 3 calendar years after completing their degree to keep those workers here in the state of Missouri.
Right. That's an effort to not have, create people that are qualified for that and then have them leave to another state. So it's an effort that I really think is exciting, and I'm pleased that the governor recognizes the importance that it has to have qualified workforce in Missouri.
And Southeast has several programs that folks could take advantage of, so there's a lot of opportunity there for them.
Yes, and we have those programs available not only in the Cape campus also, but also in Sykeston and in Kennett, in Poplar Bluff also. So it's a very exciting development. So we're hoping to be able to get some students enrolled that will be eligible to have that grant.
Okay. Before we go, I want to talk a little bit about the Institute for Cybersecurity. It's going to launch in spring 2020. What is this institute?
Well, this institute is a result of the fact that cybersecurity has been a very successful program at the university. Southeast was the first institution in the state of Missouri to have a degree in cybersecurity. We've been very successful with it. It's grown very much. It has now the recognition of the National Security Agency and the Department of Homeland Security as an institution that is a center of excellence in academic education and cybersecurity. And so we felt that that as a university that we needed a mechanism to provide our faculty an opportunity to really develop partnerships with K through 12 and with other organizations, be in a better position to go out and secure grants, research grants, training grants, that will then allow us to bring in some resources to the university to benefit the workforce in Missouri in that field of cybersecurity, which is really only, if anything, growing only in intensity. Really, that cybersecurity is a very important field. So
in 2011 there were 21 students in the program. 160 currently. That just shows the growth.
Right. It's grown very much, and not only that, we now have actually a master's degree in cybersecurity that we've started also. This field is evolving tremendously, so I am glad that our Board of Regents approved the creation of this institute, because it really is a recognition of the high quality work that we do. The institute is going to have also, as part of its structure, the cyber bench, which we actually have funded internally for students to practice and have an opportunity to do some of the work that is required in the curriculum.
A lot of exciting things happening at Southeast. Dr. Vargas, good talking with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dan. See you next time.
All right. Focus on Southeast is a collaboration of KRCU Public Radio and the Department of Mass Media here at Southeast Missouri State University. Just a reminder that portions of these monthly conversations with Dr. Vargas will be broadcast on KRCU, and our entire conversation is available at krcu.org. From the Russ Center for Media, I'm Dan Woods with KRCU Public Radio. Thanks for watching. Be sure to tune in next time when we focus on Southeast.